Hi, I'm Joe Malovich, and I noticed that there aren't a whole lot of videos or no videos on YouTube detailing how to install a GrohFlex valve. So this is how I'm installing it. And you can follow along. It'll give you good ideas of how to do it yourself. This is going to work for this model of GrohFlex. Other similar models may have the same installation method. I watched other videos from this company and they pronounce it Grohe. Alright, so the installation of this, I'm using 1/2-inch PEX, and I have the copper crimp rings to go around it. To go into it, I'm using a 90-degree elbow, 1/2-inch, but you could use a straight connector or, whatever works for your system. Sweat connections, that would work. And then this is going to be set up with a shower and a tub spigot. In this case, I have a drop ear for both. I've already taken this out and read the instructions. The instructions aren't very helpful. So this is a cover plate, so once you get it roughed in, you can cover the valve to keep debris, construction debris, from getting in there. And I actually use this as my cut template too. For, this is the valve we're using. You guys already know that because that's why you're on this video. I don't know if, yes, it has a top. Okay, so there's it'll say top right there on the cover plate. This one's going to be your hot, your cold, tub, and then shower is going to be up here. So I use that Coroplast to get my template, and you can see the crosshairs there. I used a level to get a plumb line off of my drain. And then for height above the tub, I stood up beside it. I'm the tallest one that would be using this. And I reached in to see how easily I could adjust it from outside the shower and both inside the shower. My wife is shorter. With a shorter arm, she'll have no problem reaching that as well. For a purely shower installation, you could mount it up higher. In other showers, though, I've noticed that I bump it with my elbow. So maybe in shower-only installations, you'll still want it a little bit lower, out of elbow's reach. And I guess in the same way, out of knee's reach. So I just traced around this, and I put tape on this both for the marker, so it wouldn't mark the fiberglass, and also to protect this when I use the saw to cut out the circle. I'm going to drill a pilot hole and then use a saber saw to cut out around that. For my pilot hole, I'm using a twist drill bit that's a little bit larger than the blade I'm using. The blade I'm using is a narrow, for cutting circles, finer tooth blade. Double check behind this to make sure there's nothing in the way before you drill any holes or cut any holes. I need to get a new battery. So there's my hole cut. I'm just double checking that the rough-in box fits. And it does. It's a very snug fit in my case. I don't know that I could have done anything better than that. Tooting my own horn there. Now, you want to have your hole no larger than 3/16 of an inch away from this. Otherwise, your cover plates for your shower hardware is not going to cover the hole. And once again, in my case, I have these PEX fittings. These are just brass. Install them with Teflon tape. Make sure there's no little bits that would go inside it. Don't want them fouling up the valve. And in my case, I have nut rounders, also known as a crescent wrench, to snug this in. Alright, I've mounted the drop ear for the tub spout and the shower head, but that's not really pertinent to this video. That's standard installation of those features. But to mount this, I did have to put those in first because I'm going to have to mount the block, then mount the pipes, and then stick the whole thing in because I won't be able to crimp these from in the back if I have the mounting blocks in the way. This wouldn't really be applicable if you had shark bite fittings. I mean, like the push fit fittings. Then you could just mount it all up and then just push them in. The top one I can leave loose and dangling because I can easily finagle this into place. In my case, I dry fit all the fittings. All of these are trimmed to length now. I don't have the shower head one on yet. My hot water goes straight up into this elbow. My cold water loops around into this elbow. I could have put a crimp elbow here, but I don't want any fittings in the walls. That's the whole point of PEX. So I eliminate one potential source of leakage by avoiding this elbow. And because it's just the cold water line, I'm not worried about the extra length. The hot water line is nice to be short because then you get your hot water faster. I've gotten 4 pieces of PEX attached to the valve, and now I'm slipping the bottom one onto my drop ear for the tub. Now let's, don't forget your clamp or cinch ring. It's on there. Out of the way. It's down. Twist this into place. So that's through. Now in my case, I can push it all the way forward and it's right in the middle of the range for it needs to be. As can be seen here, you can see the max but not the min arrow. So that's in a good location. And finally, all you have to do is screw these guys in. And there we go. I have that crimped on, and then this guy is not supported. So as it expands and contracts, it can bow out, and that's all. Here we go. And don't forget to install your cover panel to keep this clear of any construction debris until you're ready for the valve. As a final follow-up, it's 74 days after I recorded that last video and I have everything installed. And we've been using it for about a month. That ruffian box, the face of it, the flange was sticking out, and that does have to be trimmed flush. I would recommend you doing that before you take off the tape around it so you don't scuff up the fiberglass or whatever material you have. I used one of these tools to cut it flush. It worked perfect. After you cut it flush, you have to pack the seam with silicone. This does all have seals on it, but as an added layer of protection, you're supposed to silicone around it. On the opposite side, after I installed it and pressurized it, I had a leak on this fitting, so I had to take it all out. I just decided to through bolt here, and that way we can install the ruffian box and then put the boards on and attach it. And everything works perfectly with this valve. So with this particular valve, you have this back control lever controls which direction and how much. So you can put it on just a little bit or a lot. And then this one is a pressure compensating temperature control valve. I do have links for all of these in the description of my video. I also have a Grohe tub spout here and a Grohe shower tube. A slight disadvantage to this system is this does stick out kind of far, and you can mount the box a little bit further back, but the water from my shower head does drip directly on this. So I think I'm gonna have to replace this with a tube that's a little bit longer. I like posting these sort of videos for underserved content. If you like them, give me a thumbs up and subscribe. If you don't like them, tell me why in the comments. See you around. So just watch out for more of these if you like my... That sounds goofy.